Okay, hello everyone. Today we have Monique the coach with us. She's an emotional wellness coach, best-selling author, keynote speaker, and she's a corporate trainer. Thank you so much for joining me and us today, Monique.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here on this platform with you, and you are doing some amazing things with emotional wellness and healing, and just backing women in sharing their story and the things that we've been through. So, just thank you for having this platform and allowing me to share.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And before we get into your story, do you want to tell us a little bit about, how your business is thriving now?
Okay, well, no problem. Well, as you said, I am an emotional wellness coach. I'm a certified life coach specializing in relationships and emotional wellness. And I pretty much teach women how to attract the love that they desire, but first to become that love and then to attract the
Mm.
love that they desire. And that is my coaching portion. And then I'm also a corporate trainer, as you mentioned. I have a core curriculum or core training course that teaches employees wellness within themselves first and how to relate that in work and incorporate that with their personal life, because I know the saying is leave that personal stuff at home, don't bring that to work, but the fact is we are one person. So for us to separate what we're going through at home or what we may be going through in life and bring that to work may be tough for some individuals, in addition to being who upper management and leadership desire us to be as employees. So I train employees and corporations on how to sort of bring that all into one and how to manage that, because wearing many hats is tough. It's tough as a mom when you have multiple children. So imagine being that mom and then having to go to work and then having to deal with life and then being human, So
Right.
that's what I do.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that because we need it. Just, men. I don't know if you focus on women or men and women.
Well, in my business, when I do one-on-ones and group coaching outside of the corporation, it's mostly women.
Okay.
But when I'm in corporate settings, of course, it's both men and women.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. But like you said, we need it. People say cliche things all the time, but then when you really sit down and think about it, it's like, okay, well, how do we do that? Like nobody's explaining it. And that's where you come in at. So your
Right.
work is appreciated.
Thank
Um, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am. We are doing this interview under the hashtag He Made Me Sick. And we're talking about how women have broken the cycle of abuse and are now surviving and thriving after they break the cycle of abuse. And I would like to hear your story. Uh, I don't know. You're on.
you. Wow. I don't know where to start. It's been such a journey. Well, I should probably say that I am 45 now. And my journey started when I was 16 in high school and I met my high school sweetheart and just went on a tumultuous journey of figuring things out, just winging it. I became a mom early. Well, we were parents early. I was 17, he was 19. And we split for quite some time and got back together and had our second child. And then we moved in together. So we were both early 20 somethings, right? And it was more of emotional and psychological abuse than physical. There was a lot of fighting, but it was, like I said, more uh, emotional abuse. I don't know. Do you want me to share like an incident of something that happened or?
Yeah, like if you say when you say emotional abuse, like what's your one example or an example of that?
Okay, so okay, well, one thing I can recall that was really difficult for me when I say emotional abuse. There was a lot of name calling, a lot of belittling, a lot of just making me feel like less than. Not to mention when we got together, we were children. I was only 16, so I was still very
Yeah.
gullible and impressionable and just not really sure of who I was.
Right.
So I went straight from being Roxanne's daughter to somebody's mother and living girlfriend. So there was no space in between for me to figure out who Monique was.
Right.
So an incident with one time there was a time where after work I had gone to the gym. New York Sports Club was having this amazing sale where if you bring a friend and then you get like a month free and then 2 months half off, something crazy like that. So all the girls at work were going crazy, so I bought a friend and she bought a friend, and it was like 10 of us
Mhm.
that went to sign up for the gym. So I am thinking I'm doing something for my family. Like I am going to get in shape and I'm going to be able to take care of you guys. I'm going to put me first. I was so excited. So I called him and I said, I'm going to be running a little bit late. I'm making a stop. I'm going to the gym. And he said, well, why didn't you tell me before you got there? And I said, well, I didn't think it was a big deal. He had picked up the kids already from school. I didn't think it was a big deal, but I noticed the time and I just wanted to let you know. And he said, yeah, okay, yeah, well, you'll see when you get here. And automatically my heart sank because I'm like, what am I gonna walk into? I have no idea what's gonna happen when I open the door. And it might not seem like a big deal to someone who has maybe gone through greater challenges, but when I got home, he had poured bleach in, or he was laying down. He was mad because he was hungry and I wasn't home to make something to eat. So he was laying down. And when I got home, he had poured bleach in all of my drawers. And he had like snipped the arms of all of my clothing and just left it hanging there. And I didn't realize it until I went to get something out of the drawer. And what was so devastating for me is that this is somebody who I wanted to build a future with.
Right.
This is somebody that I leaned on for everything. We we had a home together. We had shared accounts. We had things that I thought we were building, and this is why I say psychological abuse, because it just went downhill from there all night long. You're stupid, you're fat anyway, and why are you trying to get in shape? Nobody's gonna want you, and you're nasty. It was just thing after thing after thing, and all I could do was cry. And it was, I don't remember a day being in that relationship that I didn't cry. And we were together for almost 10 years.
So like from 16 to like 26.
Yeah, may give or take a few years, maybe 23, 24,
Okay.
somewhere
And
in.
then maybe a little kind of off and on for a little bit after that, but then that's it.
Yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
off and on, but that was the gist of everything. And it did so much damage to me emotionally because, like I said, I was a child and very impressionable when we
Yeah.
first got together. So that made me extremely insecure. I didn't have a voice. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who to trust. I was just an emotional wreck, and those are just one of the, there was another incident where we live is a
Can,
neighborhood. Okay,
can I
good.
stop you one time?
Yes.
I just want to know, like, since you guys got together, because how old was he? Around the same age, right?
He was 3 years older than me.
So he was 19. He was still, fairly young.
Hmm.
And he still was a complete abuser at this young age, it seems like. Like, did this kind of start like within the first year y'all got together, or can you remember?
It started probably a few months after we got together.
So
You know, I'm this is the first guy that I was a chubby child, so
yeah,
this is the first guy that ever showed me any type of interest. I
yeah,
thought he was the most handsome person ever in the world.
yeah.
So I like the sun. The what is the saying? The sun rose and set in his eyes. He was my world, my everything. So anything he said mattered.
Yeah.
Whoever he said that I was, I believed.
Right, because you were just happy to be getting some special attention from a guy that you liked.
Right.
Now, see, now we say 16 and 19, we're like, oh, there's a whole bunch of laws, there's a statutory thing that's going on with that age of consent and all that. But was that even considered back then?
No, that was 94.
Yeah, yeah,
95. I know I was not thinking about that. I'm like, here's this older guy, he's getting ready
yeah,
to go to college and he thinks I'm so fly. And it
right,
was, you could not tell me anything. I was on cloud nine,
right.
being abused from the very beginning.
Yeah. From the beginning, it wasn't even like a honeymoon phase. It's like it's probably as soon as you got pregnant, he thought, okay, he might have thought like, okay, I got it now. I can do whatever I want. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. And it was actually before I got pregnant. I
Okay.
actually, when I had my daughter, our daughter, that was my third pregnancy.
Okay.
And as a teenager, you know, my mom finds out, and she's after the third time, she's like, you know what, you just want to ruin your life, go ahead.
Hmm.
And the first two pregnancies, she took me to terminate. The
Okay.
third pregnancy, she was like, I'm not dealing with you, I'm not dealing with this, go ahead and ruin your life. And that was her stance on it. And he actually at that point broke up with me. He was a freshman in college at this point, and he had started dating a young lady in college. And he broke up with me and left me pregnant. Left me pregnant
Wow.
by myself. He came around a time or two when she was a baby, but it's very vague because it was so long ago. I just
Yeah.
remember always living in turmoil and walking on eggshells and not knowing which way to turn or who to lean on, and not really even being able to identify with the fact that I was being abused until I got out of it, thinking that because he doesn't hit me, it's not abuse.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
And now we're learning, the younger ladies are learning now because of social media and everybody's talking about it and speaking out about all different types of abuse. But I'm around your same age. So when we were growing up, the social media wasn't there. And if your parents, I'll use me, if your parents and your so-called circle, which usually isn't your real circle anyway, um, they're not telling you anything, you just don't know. All you know is what you're around. And at that time when we were growing up, since there was no social media, it was very limited. So just long story short, if your own people hating on you, they're not gonna, there's no way for you to know, really.
Right. And I went straight from, like I said, being Roxanne's daughter to being somebody's girlfriend. And I was a total child, naive, you know, in the house. It's not even like I was hanging out, because even that was not allowed by, by my mom. She did the best that she could, and she worked nights. So with that, I was with my grandmother, who just pretty much made sure I ate and did my homework. Really didn't teach me any life lessons, any type of self-worth. So anything that I thought that I was worth, I got from him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think many people that grew up around the time we did, they can resonate with that. Like, how they say, like you said, in your case, your mom did the best she could, and your grandmom, she did what she could. In my case, it was different, and a lot of other people around my age, um, some of us weren't taught things on purpose, like, so, but that's a whole different story. So,
Mhm.
but it's good to hear that part about your story and how you reflected and how you seen where you were and how I don't want to say and how you were in that situation, right?
Mhm.
But now that we're older, it's like we've learned so much. And you know what? Social media has helped me. I left the narcissist about 3 years ago. And even after all I've been through, if social media, if people weren't on social media talking about this stuff, I still would have had a hard time because I was just looking for big, red flags. Now I know big red flags, like you say, a hit, a push, something like a car crash, so to speak. Not like these little subtle things where, they're nagging you, they're saying something, being nice, nasty. But oh, if you approach them about it, oh, I was just joking, all that type of stuff. So
Mm.
thank God for social media in that aspect. All right. So yeah, that was good. That's good to know and to show how you've grown since then.
Mm.
Okay, so you wanted to tell me another story after that.
This was kind of near the end when I started figuring out what was happening, and I was like, I don't think this is love. I don't. And so we had a conversation that we would part, although we were still living together, and he had someone that he was dealing with, and I had started seeing someone. And the neighborhood that we lived in, I actually grew up in. So I knew most of the community. And I remember standing outside talking to a friend, a male friend, just somebody that I grew up with. You know how you have those childhood friends. Excuse me. And we were standing over by the car talking, and I said, "Oh, let's sit down. Like my feet hurt." It was a summer night, so we sat on the stoop for a while, and we just had conversation. And then that was over, and I said, "All right, well, I gotta get upstairs. I'll see you later. I gotta cook for the kids." And when I came in the door, he was like in my face and yelling, and he was like, "You are. I don't want to curse on your show. You are nasty. You're a nasty bee, and you was in the hallway doing all types of things." And I was like, what? Where,
What are you talking about?
where is the? And up until this point, he was the only person that I had been with physically.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, you're a whore and just all kind of names. So in his mind, he had imagined that when we moved from where we were standing to shift to sit down, he couldn't see me anymore. So in his mind, I was in the back of the back of the stairs doing all sort of ungodly things. And I'm like, first of all, my mother lives in this building. Okay,
Right.
so why would I do anything like that? But in every degrading argument and name calling, my children were always present,
Wow.
always. And I'm not sure how it has affected them till this day. They're 28 and 24 because they refuse to go to therapy. I'm still talking to them as a coach and
Yeah.
trying to get them to go to therapy with me. I'm not gonna give up.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how that has affected them with him calling me all those derogatory names. And in addition to that, I'd had a pet, a lizard, a bearded dragon,
Mhm.
and he flipped the tank over where my dragon was, and he picked up the rock and he smashed the dragon. He killed my dragon.
Uh,
He killed my baby, and I was just like, you are a monster. Like you're a total monster. And there was one more incident after that, and I was like, I gotta get out of here because if I'm gonna kill you at this point, and the children won't have any parents because I'll be in jail.
right.
So I gotta go. And I ended it abruptly with us living together, but the mental, the psychological abuse continued for years after that. Where I had moved on and I lived in a different home with my children, but he still ran my household from over there, where my children would call him when they had a dispute with each other instead of coming to me and I'm in the house,
Right.
or where I would call him for approval when making decisions in my home. I again, this is the first time I'm talking about this
Yeah.
with anyone outside of my immediate family. So for me to repeat these things is opening up something. I don't know what's happening right now.
You know what? I I think, well, I can tell you what happened to me, right? When I finished writing my book, I started to read it out loud. And now that I'm wiser and I know what I was in, I was like a totally different person. So
Mm.
when I started to say it out loud, I was like, oh, you know what I mean? And I couldn't, I was like, nah, I'm not trying to read this out loud right now. Like, I can write the story in silence, I can edit it fine. But when I start to talk about the exact, it's different because you look, because you, well, for me it's like, wow, I cannot believe it was me. Like, I know it was me, it happened to me, like I'm dealing with the consequences and everything, but it's just like, wow, I'm so far removed from who I was, like in a good way, but it's just like, that was some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some stuff. It was and it was deep. Where sometimes I'm still triggered,
Yeah.
and I'm a whole wife now,
Yeah.
and and I have to tell my husband like, "Ooh, that's a trigger. Let's
Yeah.
talk. Let's talk about that,"
Yeah.
because now I can identify with what's happening when it happens when I'm with my spouse. He's like a mirror of me and whatever I've gone through, and we can talk about it. So I know now how to identify triggers.
That's
Some
good.
some of them. I'm a coach and I'm still working through it.
Oh, of course, and it's, how we know it's easier to help people with their issues than, going through our own process, but the thing is we're doing it. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's good. That's good.
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess so. The way I dealt with all that I had gone through was I got therapy.
Yeah.
Because for a while I refused it. I don't need therapy. I am a black woman and I can do it all. And black people don't go to therapy. So, no, I'm not going to therapy. I'll be fine. I just won't talk about it. Mm, big mistake.
Yeah.
Because I ended up attracting a mentor. I was in a multi level marketing company, and I had ended up attracting a mentor who was identical to him. I'm talking about the same, not so much verbally abusive with the derogatory words, but he would say things like, "You're at the bottom of the barrel on this team, and you're the loser in this circle." And what mentor talks to a mentee in such a fashion? But that is what I attracted because at the time that's who I was, and I was looking for more of that feeling.
Yeah.
And unfortunately when you don't know, you don't know, and you continue to attract the same things. So I ended up going to therapy and detaching myself from that mentor and his wife, and just working through a lot of the things that I had gone through. So it allowed me to separate myself from involving in being involved with anyone romantically, and I took about 3 years for myself. And I did journaling, I did healing, I did vision boarding, I did anything that I thought would help me. I was just trying to keep my head above water because I felt like I was sinking.
Right.
So in that process, I created a love board, and I attracted my husband with the things that I was doing in my healing process. And so that with those steps, I attracted two clients, and I taught them how to attract their spouse and how to become what they were looking for, and they ended up getting married, with the same process that I taught them. So that is how I got from point A to point B, and now I'm just working my way to C and then D, and just taking it one day at a time and making sure I keep myself submerged in the healing process and always in some type of self development or self process, self growing process, always.
Yeah. That's key. Like always at corporate jobs, they call it a continuing education. And I believe we need to have that in life, like you say, even with healing. Like, they say that you can't get 100% healed. Well, if we can't get 100%, we still need to be pursuing what we can. So that sounds good. So now that you've made like you've seen the root of the issue, the triggers, and you're continuing to heal. um how has your life changed for the better now that you have your boundaries, you have your standards, you don't accept abuse?
Wow. Well, in so many different ways, and I want to share that once you identify, baby, those they come because that's the test to see if you're over what you said you were over, and so they come, and then they come in different forms. They can come in the form of a new friend, a new associate, just to tap you on your shoulder, like, hey, you said you were healed. Are you still healed? Do I
Right.
see you? And so what I found is that it's okay for me to say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this person. And I can either have a conversation with them to let them know, you know what, thank you, but no thank you. Or I could just not deal with them at all. And I know that's another thing that I have to work through, with just cutting people off and not giving them not giving them something to
Right.
go on. But I am no longer, how can I say, Mrs. Nice to everyone
Yes.
just
Yeah.
because they want to be in my space. Oh, this
Exactly.
person likes me. Oh, this person asked me to do this for them. Oh, overcompensating because I don't know who I am. So I'm submerging myself in other people's stuff.
It feels so good to let go, doesn't it? Like that's what I was told. Like, I wasn't taught much when I was younger, but be nice,
Ex-
be nice.
Yeah,
And it doesn't, they should have taught us more than be nice, because they're pretty much, well, they pretty much set me up to be, just to be nice, not to have my standards and my boundaries.
right.
And to be taken advantage of. But now, like when you probably got that 3 years to yourself, or probably even now, you find yourself listening to yourself more. Like, whereas maybe when I was younger, I would have let somebody like talk to me and waste my time about nothing. It's just like, instead of trying to be nice and just, oh, hear them out, they need somebody to talk to. Look, no, I value my time. Did you have anything to say? Pretty much, maybe I'll say it a little different. But
Right.
hey, what's up? Is there anything going on? Okay, no. All right. Well, I got to do this. I'll talk to you later. Now, oh, be nice. Let them jibber jabber, or that's just a small example. It can go with anything. You know what I mean? So,
And even something as simple as my hair. I have lots in my hair, but I need a retwist so you can't tell. But when I'm looking for a new loctician, or I'm gonna have to learn how to do it myself, because I pay her $150 every time I sit in her chair, and a little more depending on if I want to color or trim or what have you. And I don't like the service she provides.
mhm.
And in the past, I would have felt obligated to stay because I started with her. If I'm paying for a service, I should get the service that I feel that I deserve. And so I'm just looking for a new loctician, and that's it. No explanation needed. I deserve what I'm paying for. I deserve the care and the treatment that I deserve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to stay loyal. No love lost. But hey, I'm looking for something else now. Moving on. Thank you.
And that's
you know,
okay. And that's okay.
and that's okay.
Right. Wow. This is amazing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, well, well. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we've learned. And when I do, this is my second interview, but I learn a little bit, when I'm doing it. Just and you never know what you're gonna learn, or it's kind of like reinforcing what we already know. So that's good. But again, Monique, the coach, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for sharing how you've overcome and you're surviving and thriving now that you set your boundaries and broke the cycle of abuse. And did you want to share once more how people can get in touch with you if they need an emotional wellness coach, etc.?
Yes, ma'am. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Monique the Coach. And should you need to book a one-on-one session, I have a 30-minute consultation free of charge that I'm sharing. And you can click in my link tree to get a hold of my calendar. And if anyone is looking for training for their employees, I also have a form there, a Google Doc form that you can fill out, and I will get back to you with within a timely fashion.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks. Thank you so much for sharing, Monique, and I will talk to you soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
evening.
All right. You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.